My mother-in-law stole something priceless. I'm getting her arrested.
Do it. Put her behind bars. Yeah.
Part 1. So context, we have read the first tiny snippet of this long saga months ago. OP has gone ahead and edited/made things clearer since we last read. This first part is relevant, and it will be needed to get all the details together. So, my mother-in-law stole my collection of vintage skeleton keys to sell at a pawn shop and buy herself a new phone. My best friend recommended Reddit to begin with and has suggested this subreddit and even said that I should have posted here first. I'm dividing this into 2 halves to make it easier to read. By the way, this comes from my keys were stolen from r/entitledpeople. So, my mother-in-law is insanely entitled. Sounds like it. And my wife's enabling of her has made our marriage very hard at times. Mother-in-law has come to us for money a lot because she keeps spending herself into a hole since she's a hoarder and shopaholic, the winning combination. Her house is full of garbage, junk, and unopened stuff that she never uses. The house is rodent infested too.
Oh, that's how you know it's bad.
Yeah.
When you got Ratatouille living with you.
So she has one semi-clean room in the whole building, and it's the master bedroom. She mocked it up like a little apartment studio with a futon to sleep on and use as a couch, an entertainment center with a TV and streaming, and a makeshift kitchen consisting of the adjoining bathroom, a mini fridge, and a microwave. Mother-in-law is also overweight because she eats out a lot.
Well,
Shout
why
out
would
to
you
Riley.
want to eat in?
Right?
You'd be dining with the rats.
Exactly. Now, recently, mother-in-law came to us wanting me to specifically buy her a new smartphone as a unprompted gift. And she threw a massive fit when I refused. And I mean a child temper tantrum kind of fit. Now, why did she want a new phone so suddenly? You might be asking. Good, Samuel?
I don't know, so she can like Google Maps her way out of her trash hoard. Like,
that does seem like something you need, but here's the truth. Hers is 2 years old.
Oh, that's too old.
It's 2 years old.
That's basically trash at that point.
It
right?
is 1 year too old.
Yeah, you gotta throw that in your trash heap.
Yeah.
We live in a world.
These cats won't flatten themselves, okay? Toss it in. So as far as I know, the phones still work just fine. Even my wife has confirmed this, but mother-in-law was resolute that she deserved a new phone. And before leaving, mother-in-law yelled at us that we're supposed to be pampering her now that she's an old woman.
Yeah, know your worth, old lady. Don't she knows that she needs to be treated like the queen she is on top of her trash heap.
Now, I know we all make fun of my age, but Opie says she's 53.
Yeah, that's a young lady right there. Right, John?
I'm not even going to comment on the hypocrisy happening right now. My wife also didn't want to buy her mother the phone because she gave her money not long before to make sure all of her bills were paid. Now, I have quite a collection of vintage skeleton keys, and I mean good ones.
All right, remind me of what a skeleton key is.
My
right?
understanding, and we might get an even more updated understanding from Chat and Riley in a second, is that there's like all of these different, like for instance, the handicap bathrooms you need a skeleton key to get into. There's all of these types of rooms that have like master keys that can open all of these different types.
So is it a master
types of room?
Because I also I'm thinking of the old. Yeah, I was thinking of like those old keys. So like skeleton keys are the keys where it has like a little thingy thing on it. You know?
That might also be it.
Yeah. But I think it's both. I believe it's like the old timey skeleton keys and
they're like a master key.
And it's like a lock picking thing.
We do get some more context here actually. So I mean good ones, like the ones to particular hotels, the large ornate sergeant's brass railroad keys, getting into railroad things, stations, reading hardware, etc., etc. So like old vintage hotel keys that were master keys.
So we're talking old keys.
Old keys.
Yep.
My collection as a whole should easily be worth $2,000 to $3,000.
That's a lot of keys.
For the keys. Some of these keys are super rare. I kept them in a locked display cabinet, but a few days ago, I came home to find my entire collection gone. The cabinet had been forced open. I checked the CCTV that I have that's recording the living room,
Oh, wow.
and I saw my mother-in-law force the cabinet open with a small crowbar. She then put all the keys in a couple of boxes she had brought with her and left with them.
Wow.
I called mother-in-law right away and demanded she return my collection. She nonchalantly told me that she just sold the entire collection at a pawn shop already, and she used the money to buy a new phone.
Oh,
Dang.
You know, I just need some key money.
I
Those are
feel
keys.
like the one thing she did lock is OP's heart down because
Whoa.
she's never getting access to that
And
that
listen,
thing ever again.
there's no master key for that.
There's no master key for that.
Then said that it was my fault and she had to do it because I would not give her the money. My wife was seemingly on my side until I said I was going to call the police. She begged me to just drop it and even suggested that I just start a new collection.
So she can steal it again with another crowbar.
Also, it's like, that's like saying like, hey, someone stole my car and they're like, oh, I have an idea. Just buy a new car.
If you're homeless, just buy a house.
It's like, well,
well, it's a great idea. It's a great idea. I don't know why you're shooting down great ideas. You're just saying great things right now.
true.
Done. Truly,
Crowbars are master keys. Buy a new car if it's stolen. These are all great ideas.
Just buy a new car.
So I refuse to let it go because a lot of those keys are not only expensive, they're irreplaceable. Priceless even. I spent 10 years building that collection, but my wife kept blowing up at me and telling me to just let it go. So I slept in the guest room that night and I sought online help the next day when my best friend told me to try Reddit.
Ooh, open up Pandora's box.
There it
You
is.
might not like what you find.
I had been a lurker before, but making an account wasn't hard. My mother-in-law has been trouble in the past, but this was the first time I knew of that she had actually stolen from us. I needed help, so I asked there. The resounding advice finally made me pull my head out of my bum to realize I was the only one keeping my marriage afloat. And it would likely never get any better if my wife was not on my side when her own mother steals something irreplaceable from me. Now, to answer some quick questions I got before. 1, how did mother-in-law get into the house? My wife unilaterally gave her a key, the irony, when we moved in. That's why. 2, why did I have CCTV cameras in the living room? Really? Wouldn't you do that if you had something valuable on display there? And 3, is mother-in-law on any substances? No idea. She's always been crazy. Question number 4, did mother-in-law steal from us before? Not that I have been able to tell, and I've checked everything that I could think of. 5, what kind of phone did mother-in-law get? Not a clue, but probably one of the cheaper smartphones with the amount of money she got selling my stuff. Seems like.
You have a CCTV collection, or you have a CCTV pointed at your collection? That's a lot.
Right?
That is a lot.
Like,
But it's like it's just like a camera, right?
well, yeah, but I don't know. Setting up.
Well,
It's old school.
Well, I like have video content of things that are priceless to me to make
You
sure that they're
have-
safe.
You have a video camera pointed out like at your priceless items.
Yep.
What? Oh.
Of course.
Is this what I'm thinking? Are you saying what I think you're
What
saying?
is priceless items?
Yeah.
John,
What were you thinking?
I thought you had a camera in your room.
Oh, I do sometimes for my 3D printing,
Okay.
just to check up on it.
There you go.
But mostly it's you guys.
All right.
Oh.
Thank you. That's much better than what I thought you were saying. So, number 6, did my wife use my money to placate her mother before? Yes, she did. We primarily have separate accounts. But we do have a joint account that we pay the bills with, so it's not used for savings. In 2 years of marriage, I would say it's roughly happened 5 times. Every time my wife took money from the joint account for her mother, she's always replaced it on her next payday. Okay,
that's good.
that's good.
She's just taking it in advance.
Yeah. Though in hindsight, I think she only did so because she knew I'd never let it go, because she would always have an attitude with me for a few days afterwards. I was in a bad marriage fog before, but this whole situation has snapped me right out of it. Question 7, will I lock down my credit? Pun intended. I already have. Although I'm not sure my wife or her mother would be so stupid to do something like that after mother-in-law was recently arrested.
Why was she arrested?
So
So skeleton keys?
My understanding as of right now is she was arrested recently for a completely unrelated incident, which is also maybe why the wife is so adamant about him not calling the police.
Animal.
She's already got a recent record.
Yeah, like 3
Animal-
strikes rule.
Are they going to just like throw her in jail for a while and just
I mean, I can't imagine that someone
Lock the
is
key.
using a crowbar to break into things. Like, that spills into your life in other areas. This
Yeah.
is not an isolated
You don't just
incident.
crowbar one thing and
Stop.
You
Once
can't
you
eat one
realize the
chip.
power of the crowbar, that you
Yeah.
can get $3,000 worth of keys with one little bloop, like, you're not going to stop there. Your villain arc has just begun.
Getting some ideas over here.
You want to get a crowbar?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, this is kind of crowbar-esque.
That's made of foam.
I could open something with it.
I have gotten my collection back.
Oh wow.
So it sounds like
When?
OP went out and got it back. And I've hidden it somewhere. My wife and mother-in-law have no idea where it is. I will provide more details in another post tomorrow.
Yeah, let us know where it's at.
Yeah,
We'll find it.
Yeah, we won't tell anybody.
Just you guys.
Ooh.
But you guys won't tell anyone.
Keep it between us.
Yeah. Our little secret.
Ooh. And we have some relevant comments. So this comes from TMG 2010. Report her to the police. It's the only way to deal with self-absorbed, narcissistic women like this. And I think that you should accept that your wife is always going to enable her and defend her behavior. You should change the locks in your home. Again, keys. And tell your wife in no uncertain term that her mother is not to have a new key. Gag on Mackie says,
Excuse me.
that won't do any good. She has skeleton keys after all. Dude, it all comes back to the
Low-hanging
keys.
fruit, but I love when we pick it.
Oh my God. Ken Popcorn says, what did you have to do to get your keys back? OP said, the police returned them to me at the station after a couple of days.
How did the police get it?
Did OP secretly already contact the police?
Oh yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I don't understand how they would know about the key collection.
I guess the question is, did he say it was the mother-in-law or not? Because he could report it stolen, right? And be like, oh, I don't know who did it.
But the police are going to go into the mother-in-law's house and be like, these keys are in your house. Who took?
Yeah, you could ask the pawn shop owner, like, hey, who sold you these? These are stolen. Right? And then probably...
because the police confiscated them from the pawn shop.
Almost certainly because she had already sold them to the pawn shop. So it's like, it seems like as of right now, the police might already know either OP's told them or they found out through investigating.
Wait, so what happens to the pawn shop guy?
That's the question. Now, we do have an update coming up, but
Okay.
what do we, as of right now, Chad is saying 90% divorce. 90%. We know Chad.
Chad, I
We know
love
Chad.
you. I love you.
But what's
So
the
much.
what's the short list of like the steps we need to take as of this point, do you think?
Short steps. I mean, I think, Chad is a vindictive mistress
Indeed.
often, but I think in this one they're kind of right. This is not an isolated incident. It has continued and continued and continued, and it's made your quality of life suffer on I don't know. It seems like a fairly regular basis.
Yeah.
So it sounds like your life is better without your wife and mother-in-law than with your wife and mother-in-law. And when that's true, like that means you should leave, right?
I think so. I feel like at least marriage counseling to maybe see if she like understands what she's doing. Because if we're going to be like,
you have the conversation. Sorry.
Yeah.
But my intention was conversation. Conversation doesn't go well. Divorce.
yes,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And do we tell the police, press charges, all that on the mother-in-law? Do we throw her in jail and throw away the key? And crowbar.
I think the issue here is, and what I think the chat will probably say, and what Reddit will probably say, is if you don't hold her accountable, she's just going to keep having this behavior. It's like the whole thing of like, the bully keeps beating you up and then you fight back once and the bully stops coming up to you and twisting your nipples.
Ooh.
Like you're
Are they bullying me or doing me a favor?
It depends which nipple you like twisted and how much.
Okay.
I think, John, they would probably be doing you a favor. We know what you like. But yeah, I think there needs to be some kind of repercussion. I don't know personally if I would do a report to the police unless I believe this would reoccur.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I think I'm disagreeing with you. That if we're assuming OP has a conversation, goes through with the divorce, I think don't press charges to protect your own sanity and move on with your life.
Unless you think she's gonna strike again.
Okay, agreed. Yeah. Okay, we agree. But
agreed.
We're now getting into not just the update, but the never before seen update
the
to the
unreleased
story,
cut.
the unreleased cut. So
The Snyder Cut extended.
back to what happened the next day. The police did come and take my statement a bit over an hour after I called the non-emergency line. I had video footage and the documentation of my collection ready. Yeah, mother-in-law's cooked. OP has all the evidence in the world. And then there was some text.
His mother-in-law cooked.
His mother-in-law cooked, chat. Did she have W Riz on that
Dude,
key
you
box?
said that just so naturally. you said that Gen Alpha slang just like it was rolling out of your mouth.
And then there were some texts that I went out of my way to get from mother-in-law to bait her into a confession. I wanted as much evidence as possible so she couldn't lie to the police. When I texted her demanding she give my collection back, she actually lolled and told me not to take a chance, and even boasted that she thought I was a pathetic son-in-law and my key collection was tacky anyways. I told her to at least tell me what pawn shop she sold the keys to so I could buy them to get them back and how much they paid for them. The dimwit admitted it all right away with glee over text. I had everything I needed for the police before they even showed up. The cops took the whole matter more seriously than I thought. I was worried they'd call it a civil matter since the thief was my mother-in-law and she had a key to the house, but they arrested mother-in-law not before long. And the police went to the pawn shop before it closed to retrieve my collection. So that's how they got it. I got it all back from the police after a couple of days. And for the moment, I've put my collection in a safe, secure place that nobody can get to. The pawn shop pretty much gave the entire key collection to the police right away like it was a bag of hot potatoes. Though I scrutinized every important key brought back, as far as I can tell, it's all there. That was a huge sigh of relief, and I took time off work and barely slept for 2 days straight because of this ordeal. Also, the cabinets that mother-in-law broke into is pretty much a loss since she mangled the lock and the doors prying it open. Thankfully, it wasn't an antique and just something that I bought used for $50. So I'm just going to take it to the dump sooner or later. From her text before, I found out mother-in-law sold the whole collection to the pawn shop for a whopping total of $300. Wow.
Girl doesn't know keys.
She really doesn't.
Oh my God.
For a collection of hundreds of antique keys valued at least $2,000 to $3,000 as a total, the low number felt like an even further punch to the gut to me. Yeah, he's like, they even devalued my precious keys.
If you're going to steal my keys, at least get a good price.
Yeah, put some respect on them. Likely, the pawnbroker knew how valuable the collection was as a whole. I mean, it's not like hitting a jackpot or something. But yeah, that's the pawn shop owner was like, oh, I'm about to 10x this money. Easy flip. Easy flip. I mean, it's not like hitting the jackpot or anything, but the money is still money, especially when a dumb little lady walks in with a box of goodies.
Money is still money. OP 2024.
Facts.
I love that phrase. Darn tootin'.
Anyone else hear Mr. Krabs laughing?
I do.
Money. Anyways, the cost of repayment to the shop was supposed to be on mother-in-law. Okay, so now she owes that $300 because you pawn something, whatever happens,
Yeah.
you still owe the money. Oh, dude.
I wonder how often that happens with pawn shops where they
I was
have
thinking
to-
about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like people fence this kind of stuff all the time.
My girlfriend used to work for a pawn shop, and they had like diamond tiaras worth like $40,000 pawned and stuff like that.
But like how often is it someone stealing something and then pawning it? Like I feel like that's the classic thing that I always see in the movies. You
I
know?
think the vast majority are owned by the person, but there's definitely people who come and
Oh yeah.
pawn and stuff
Yeah.
that they stole. But my wife paid them back out of our joint account instead. From what the shop owner said, mother-in-law told them the key collection belonged to her deceased husband. OP's dead, guys. Rest in peace. Rest in peace to our young king.
Dude, what do you call it? Defamation. Civil court.
Yeah.
Sewer for everything.
True.
For all the flat cats in her house.
Yeah. Oh, God. $100 per flat cat.
I've
was
totally forgotten that this person lives in a trash pit.
Same.
That was so far away
Same.
from my mind.
Yeah, we've had a lot of things happen
Oh,
since
wow.
then. She was sick of the whole collection just sitting in our storage, so they believed her. But just to be clear, she's not a widow. Oh, her husband divorced her. Oh, wait. She was saying that the mother-in-law
was
husband.
saying, yeah.
Yes, there we go. But just to be clear, she's not a widow. Her husband, so what would be Opie's father-in-law, divorced her and left the state around 15 years ago. Mother-in-law lives off of Social Security and food stamps and apparently stolen key collections. She also holds garage sales every few months, and she often demanded our soda and beer cans so she could deposit them to get recycling money.
Oh my gosh.
Mother-in-law doesn't drive, but she does get around on an electric scooter that tows a bicycle trailer. She lives in a long paid-off house. Just the...
Wait. Does she sit in the bicycle trailer?
It's like
Yeah,
a little...
yeah.
Like, you know the ones that hold kids and stuff?
So she could put more stuff in it.
Yeah.
She can't leave without her hoard.
Yeah, it's like
She
a
just
little
travels with her hoard.
scooter with the little, like the thing they put your kids in.
So she can find more
back.
stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's her dump truck.
I mean,
Dump
she
her
has so
stuff.
much stuff. I feel like if she had a garage sale every day for the rest of her life, she would still have more stuff to get rid of.
That is true.
There's
But then-
treasure buried in there.
Then she has to get more stuff to fund the next.
That's true. That's
it's
true.
an ever-going
Never-ending
cycle.
cycle.
Ever-going cycle. She lives in a long paid-off house, and she would not be having money troubles if she wasn't overspending every single month. And she always counts on my wife to pick up the slack when she comes up short. My wife and I got into a huge fight when she got home because I had her mother arrested. Never a fun thing. But I told her I am done with her enabling of her toxic mother. I said I was changing the locks ASAP and banning her mother from the house. And I also said that either we got marriage counseling or I'd be inquiring about my options for separation from an attorney.
Ooh.
I thought my wife would beg me not to do that. But instead, she just called me horrible, packed a suitcase, and walked out on me to go stay in a motel.
Whoa.
I just sat on the couch and let her go. She repeatedly looked like she was waiting for me to ask her to stay, but I didn't. Lady,
Dang.
you've locked the door shut, and the keys, they're not there anymore.
Although
Not there.
I do
can't
feel
reopen
like he was kind of expecting her to want to stay as well.
True. They're both like, they're playing chicken. They both want the other to be like, oh, no, it's okay, but then they're just like, no.
Yeah.
I'm staying
Which,
home.
I mean, I guess neither of them want to be in the relationship, really. If you're
There you
playing
go.
relationship chicken.
You can't wait for the other person to try to
Yeah.
bring it all
You're
back.
done. You're done.
In the morning, she texted saying that she'd bailed her mother out of jail and wanted me to transfer her the money to pay for it since I was the one who got her mother arrested. Guys, it is getting worse. When I said no, all I got back was a sarcastic, wow. And that was it. Not too long after that, I had a gut feeling and I checked the balance on the shared bank account. And my wife had taken out a lot of money from it. I wasn't sure if that was all she needed for the bail, so I called the pawn shop later. The owner confirmed that my wife had come in and paid him back the $300 that he'd paid her mother for the keys. He was also quite angry and said that he didn't want any of us in his shop ever again. I understood his anger and weirdly enough had a fairly long talk with this guy, and he understands now that I'm not part of the crazy. Guys, sometimes you lose a wife, a mother-in-law, and priceless possessions, but you gain a pawn shop friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how life goes sometimes.
Never forget that.
Never
Makes it
forget
all
that.
worthwhile. you know?
Also, you see how he didn't chicken out on the pawn shop guy? He's like, we actually had a long talk, and when I talked him through that I'm not crazy.
We came to a resolution. Is OP in the wrong for not Going further? You tell me, chat. You tell me. Comment below. I tried to call and text my wife for hours, but she didn't answer. That evening, I managed to find her. I knew which motel she'd likely go to, and I was right. It was both cheap and not far away. Ouch. I found her car and then figured out which room she was in. She looked positively shocked to see me when I opened the door. I confronted her about the money she'd used from our shared account. She basically said that since I refused to pay her mother's bail after I was the one who had her arrested, she got the money from me one way or another.
Oh, wow.
Then smugly stated that she wasn't paying that money back into the shared account this time and told me that that's the karma I get before shutting the door in my face.
Ooh. She does not want to be in that relationship.
That is...
I think she's cheating.
Oh.
Motel. Cheap motel.
Door already open?
Yep.
No
Who's
locks,
coming in?
no keys.
Who is going out?
And it seems the apple has not fallen far from the tree. Opie's wife is acting more and more like her mother.
Hey, I'm starting to see some flat cats here.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Maybe she goes back to that pawn shop and gets all the materials necessary.
Yeah.
Gets the toolkit. Then she said through the door that she'd call the cops on me if I didn't leave. The smug look she'd given me reminded me of nasty teenage girls when they get their way, and it really ticked me off. I already knew my marriage was pretty much over, but that night, it really sank in. I had a long sit down with some old video games and cola to think about my future. The house is rented, so I'm not renewing my half of the lease and will soon be apartment hunting. The last month of the lease is in March, but I may leave sooner depending on how soon I can find an apartment. We have no kids yet, thank God.
God.
Truly.
Mm.
So that's another thing I currently have in my favor. Now, the next day, I changed the locks on the house and I removed all of my money from the joint bank account and stopped all automated payments to and from it.
Time out. He can't do that. He can't change the locks on the house. Unless he gives copies to his wife.
Unless he owns the house outright
They're
and
renting.
it was a premarital asset.
They're renting.
They're renting.
Oh. Unless she's not on the lease,
She is.
then he can't do that.
We've come right back around. Good comment, producer Riley. I made sure to take only the amount of money that I'd put into the account. So, there's still more than enough in it for me to break even and still leave the minimum required balance on the account. Either way, the cost of mother-in-law's bail and paying back the pawn shop was now entirely out of my wife's pocket now. So to be clear, not only did OP withdraw all of his half from the joint account, he also withdrew, I believe, the amount that he for bail and the pawn shop.
Yeah.
And I don't think she's notified yet, but it shouldn't be long. I've been to a couple divorce lawyers already, and I picked the second one since the first seemed like they were only there for a paycheck. I'll have the divorce papers served soon. I loved my wife, but it's clear that she didn't love me, so I can't stay with her anymore. She can have her thieving, hoardy mommy all to herself.
Thieving, hoardy mommy sounds like a great OF kind of thing.
Sorry, thieving hoarder mommy.
Yep.
I still like a hoardy mommy.
It works either way. We both have very comparable incomes, so I'll be pushing for a clean split divorce.
Nice.
The woman didn't deserve me, and I fell for the act. The veil it's fully pulled. We are seeing everything without rose-tinted glasses now. She didn't want a husband. She wanted an insurance plan.
Yo.
Dang. Dropping force. I'll be clear on this. I won't be changing my mind about divorce. My soon-to-be ex-wife can beg and love bomb me all she wants. And even if she bothers to, I've never been her number one, and I'm not going to settle for being number two in my own marriage. It is over.
Boom.
Done. We have an edit coming up, but how do we feel about that?
I mean, I feel we went into this update, saying like, hey, let's keep a level head. Let's see what she responds, or what her response is to asking for counseling. And she went even a little bit more ballistic. So
That's
I
true.
think it's I think it's a clear-cut divorce.
She's proven. Are we sure we're not thinking too small? Like we're not putting our heads in such a tiny, tiny space that we're not thinking of all of the possibilities.
Yeah. Are we
Like,
surrounded
right
by
on top of our heads, and we don't even know what's happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we've fully assessed every little nook and cranny. I think our heads are warm with the thoughts.
That's true.
I think we're chilling.
So let's get into the edit. Yes, I asked the landlord to allow me to change the locks. Okay, so
Okay, cool.
But I feel like that's still not allowed.
it's still not. Yeah, it's like even the landlord said that may not be legal. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. We're not sure. Let us know in the chat and comments if you know. He was all for it when I told him what had happened. All I had to do was mail him a copy of the new key. It always comes back around to the keys. He doesn't want mother-in-law to ever have a key to that house again.
Okay, so I think it's for the mother-in-law that they changed the locks.
Well, it's for both, right?
Oh, so she
Oh.
still has access to the key. Mother-in-law does not.
We don't know if she has access to the key. But
I feel
think
like
he
it
has
might
to
be
give her
for,
one.
I think he said a bit earlier that he's changing it for the wife as well.
Oh wow. Oh,
And that he doesn't want her back.
wow.
Well, yeah, but if she's on the lease, is that like allowed?
I don't know. That is still unclear.
Uh-huh.
We don't know. He doesn't want my mother-in-law ever to have a key to the house again. So, on to some relevant comments. Irishuna says, I am so sorry. However justified, it still hurts, OP. Oh, and OP says, I've become numb to the pain now, but it was bad when it hit. Okay Lady 1952 says, let us know if there are any updates because she's probably going to be pretty pissed when she finds out that she is the one that ended up paying up for her mother's bail. Karma came back around and bit her in the butt. Good luck. OP says, I have another post to update to make soon, so keep an eye out for that, which we are about to get into. The title is Update 3, Divorce.
Okay, so we're getting into divorce territory.
That's what we're getting into.
Okay.
One quick question before we get into it.
Yeah.
Is it also where we were asking about? Is it like legal to change the locks on the wife? Is it also legal for OP to take out that money from the shared account?
I mean, she took out the money.
That's true. That's true.
And she took out the money. Like he's just rectifying
Right.
the situation.
It's neutral at this point.
Yeah, but still neutral, but still in OP's favor. Like I think it's not like
well, still in her favor because there's less money in the overall, but
yeah,
still legal. Okay, so there's not a double.
I mean, I don't know.
possible
Like I'm no lawyer. I'm just a man with a tiny hat. But
yeah, right.
I think.
But a big
OP's
brain and a
okay.
big heart.
Yeah, trying to.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah.
Big.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, update 3, divorce. Just because I found the thought of it humorous, I will be referring to my wife as wifey a lot from now on. Also, I know I seem like I'm posting too fast, but remember, this originally started around 10 days ago. So all of this has happened just in the span of 10 days.
Uh-huh.
And we have way more parts and episodes left to go. And I've not wasted time in getting this divorce started. I also apologize for the length of the post because I just could not keep it short. It didn't really take me long to find and hire a divorce lawyer, and she's mean. Yes, my lawyer is a woman. Congratulations.
Congrats,
Wow. Congratulations. What a feminist icon.
Fighting the patriarchy one divorce lawyer at a time.
And she seems pretty good at her job. You know, for a woman, she's pretty great. Gotta be. So,
red flag?
yeah, right?
I see why your wife is taking the mother-in-law
The tables
side now.
turn here. She asked me a couple of times if I was really sure I wanted to do this, but once I explained my full story to her and showed some evidence, she agreed with me and said, when I said I wanted to start it ASAP. So she got the ball rolling. Oh, this divorce is going to cost me, but I don't care. I will rebuild my savings later as a free man. I didn't even want to rent the house I'm currently living in anyways. Wifey is the one who pushed me for that.
Yeah.
I've been happy staying in our old apartment we used to share until we could have actually afforded to just buy a house together. Can't argue with that logic, but that's obviously never happening. I'll be paying a lot less for an apartment once we separate. Now, before coming home, wifey spent some time at a cheap motel when she bailed her mother out of jail. And she even threatened to call the police on me when I went to see her there. I changed the locks with my landlord's permission while wifey was still away. and sent her a text saying that I had done so. But I guess she'd not bothered to look since she never responded. So, upon her returning home, she started pounding on the door and screamed at me to let her in. I just watched her through the doorbell cam and let her keep it up for a while before she finally got her phone to call me. I was already walking home from having had dinner with my best friend when she called me, and I pointed out the text that she'd not even bothered to read. When I got home to let her in, she was puffy-cheeked, teary-eyed, and red with a bit of cat butt face. Now, I had a new key ready for her. Getting back to it.
Yeah, sorry, we're going back to it.
So OP did plan to give her a key.
Okay.
It seems. And I told her that if she gave a copy to her mother again, I'd be notifying her landlord, and they were already very angry that she'd given her mother a key to begin with. Not sure what the landlord could have done, but it was enough to make wifey comply for the moment. Plus, I'm not going to be living here much longer anyways. My mother-in-law still believes she did absolutely nothing wrong, and she is playing victim to wifey every chance she gets. She's not allowed over anymore for obvious reasons, and I've been repeatedly called a monster by her and by wifey. I've never been more glad that my mother-in-law has no friends. Ouch. Because then she'd be telling them all her convoluted versions of the story to paint me as a villain. I just know it. Is she telling her flat cats, though?
And where are those flat
and making a cat butt
buttholes?
face while saying it? I'm very mad at OP.
I guess like a cat butt face is like one step removed from a duck face. Duck face us, butt face us.
Someone said it in chat. It's a sour face.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways, so she was told how much my key collection is roughly worth and what kind of felony charges she could now be facing. We might be throwing mom in prison. Though my collection has returned fully intact, so she may get the charges lessened, I'd like to hope that she gets a decent punishment at least, but I'm not really counting on the system to throw the book at a manipulator like her. As I said in my previous post, Wifey also paid my mother's bail and what she owed to the pawn shop with the money out of our joint bank account, and then smugly told me that she wouldn't be putting the money back. Basically, that was a terrible power move and her only way to try and put all the cost on me. I've since removed everything I've had in the account and stopped any future payments so she can't spend any more of my money too. And I've changed my passwords on pretty much everything. Wifey flipped the heck out on me for it once she finally checked the account a couple of days ago, because that meant what she's paid for mother-in-law's bail and reimbursing the pawn shop was all in her own money only.
Thank God.
Which means, and I don't know if I fully understood this before, because they had it half and half. OP took out all the money to reimburse himself, not just like.
He took his money and the money she stole from him.
Yeah. And now there was no more access to my funds to supplement her own with. I just ignored her tantrum and went into the home office to watch anime on my computer. And she banged.
And she banged?
On the door for a while demanding I talk to her. I stayed quiet and just put on my headphones. Oof. Wifey had repeatedly demanded that I drop all charges against her mother and even said that if I really loved her, I would not only stop all of this, I would cover the costs too.
Good thing I don't love you anymore.
Ooh,
Bop.
When I kept refusing, she moved into the spare bedroom. She tried to kick me out of the master bedroom at first, but I made it clear I'm not giving up the master bedroom when she's the one at fault. Real quick, just like having to live with this woman now after all of this has gone down is torture.
I could not imagine. That would suck so much. I would just want to be bundled up outside with all my friends around a nice open fire.
All your cats.
All my cats. Using those flat cats as fuel.
Oh, God. She tried to start taking my stuff out, but I blocked her while pointing my finger at her face and said, no. Like I was talking to a dog.
Jesus,
Sophie. She ended up crying and saying I was demeaning her, but I didn't care.
I feel like we're getting into some territory where I'm like, is OP the hero that we thought we had at the beginning?
Yeah.
It was like the last series we read. Remember that?
Which one?
Oh, it was the guy was divorcing his wife because she cheated on him, And then it turns out he was the butthole because he was like,
yes.
he was like,
It was the one you
torturing
mean
her.
Dakota read.
Yeah.
Yeah, he literally, like, she cheated, but by the end of the story, we were like, cheat on this man again.
Yeah,
like,
please.
Bro deserved it. But then, for some more deception on her part, she admitted to me out of pure spite that until this mess had started, she had been planning on letting her mother come live with us full time
Oh.
because of the state of her hoarder house. She boasted that she was just going to move her in while I was at work. I told her we were supposed to be equal partners before this all happened, and I was sick of her unilateral decision making. And as long as I'm paying 50% of the lease, her mother would not be living here. Could
Ooh,
50% of the mother live there?
yeah.
That's the question.
Got a lot. Never mind.
What were we going to say? No, say it.
All right. She's overweight. She could lose a lot of weight. Thus, half of her could live there.
Never said she was overweight. Actually, maybe.
No,
maybe
no,
Opie
they
did.
did
They
at the
did,
beginning.
they did.
They did say that.
Yeah, they did say that.
I retract my previous statement. And if she tried, I'd throw all of her mother's stuff out immediately. Wifey looked like she wanted to explode and stormed off to have a drink and a loud phone call with her mother in the kitchen. They deserve each other. I just started removing her stuff from the master bedroom and left it on the other room for her. I've put a new lock on the door to the master bedroom too. I had wifey served her divorce papers at her job, which she said really embarrassed her in front of all of her colleagues.
Oh, come on, man. Like,
You don't need to do
you
that.
don't need to do that.
Just hand it to her when she gets home.
Like the whole, like, I pointed at her like a dog.
Yeah.
And like serving divorce papers at work. Like,
Don't need it.
you're making me question whether you're really the good guy. You don't need to do that. You don't need to, when they go low, you go high. So we know that you're the good guy.
Or do we go
Damn.
so low?
We go so
So
low,
low.
so dastardly and deep.
We go down, 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 down.
I don't know. I think not.
And she flipped out on me again once she got home. Apparently, she didn't take my threats of divorce seriously until the papers were actually in her hands. She said I couldn't do this, but I told her I was done. She made it more than clear where she stands. I told her I learned a rather interesting phrase online. When people show you who they really are, believe them. Believe them?
Yeah, we've heard that phrase. We
Mm.
know about that phrase.
And she's clearly shown me who she really is. And it's not the woman that I fell in love with. That woman disappeared and got replaced with an entitled mommy's girl who refuses to act her age right after we got married, which makes it pretty obvious that she did it intentionally. At this point, I don't think she ever loved me, just my wallet. Dang.
She took my money.
When I'm in need.
But I can't stay married to a woman who conned me into marrying her. Then she started screaming at me that she wasn't a gold digger. Relevant. So I asked her if she'd been inclined to stay married to me if I had done all the same things to her. She tried to deny it at first, then looked around like she was trying to find a better answer. Then she just gaslit to deflect as usual. But I had none of it. I told her right then and there that I am not renewing the lease on the house with her because I don't want to live with a petulant woman child I can't trust. And if she wants to keep the house, she can go ahead and start a new lease and move her mother in once I'm gone. Finally, that's when real waterwork started. She said, I was destroying our family. And so I said, what family? You're nothing to me. You're lower than a dog. You are less than a flattened cat. You are a not cat. That means you don't exist. Your particles are nothing.
You're Schrodinger's cat.
You're Schrodinger's cat. I don't see you. Who are you? John Cena. Now be gone with you.
Dang.
Damn.
That's tough. And I pointed out that we don't have kids and her mother is more important to her than me. We have no family. Then I just walked away. She loudly cried in the living room for hours, but I just ignored her. Now she's giving me the hardcore silent treatment and we won't even look me in the eyes. I'm actually enjoying it,
Oh gosh.
which seems to make her even angrier. As an added bonus, I warned my current landlord about wifey wanting to move her mother in the house. I gave him all the details that I had about mother-in-law, the state of her hoarder house, and how much of a deceptive mommy's girl that wifey is. And I warned him If he let my mother-in-law live in any property he owns, she would turn it into a utter disaster. He thanked me for telling him and is now not going to let wifey renew the lease on her own if she tries. He'll be advertising the property soon. Wifey has no idea yet and likely would have only just barely been able to afford the house with her mother's help anyways. One more thing. Yesterday, someone warned me to take my name off the joint bank account entirely so I would not be on the hook for any overdraft. I took that to heart and went to the bank to get it done. It only took a few minutes to do, and the bank is 10 minutes away by car. All good now. I've been working from home lately, so I had time. All statements from the account were already printed and given to my lawyer too, so I can wash my hands of it. Edit. I don't know if it's the same rules everywhere, but the bank had no problem removing my name from the account as a co-signer when I pushed for it. There were no debts on the account, and I had plenty more than the minimum balance. The bank likely did tell wife whether or not she knows I did it. It does not matter as she's currently not even talking to me. Edit number 2, I've noticed a few comments pointing out how it was completely unnecessary. I pointed out that my lawyer is a woman. Looking back on it, I did write that like a complete jerk.
All right.
Hey.
Or
Is he a self-aware king?
Remove red flag.
You know, what was the other one? Oh, him just treating her like a dog. Yeah.
Like a dog.
And you said anime. You were like, red flag, anime.
I was like, maybe.
Yeah. Wait,
maybe.
what? Anime's not a red flag.
I'm just saying, if he's locking himself in his office and playing some we didn't get what specific.
What if he
genre.
was locking himself in his office and playing, a nice documentary about buffaloes or truffle pigs?
Then we know exactly what it's about.
I also wanted to watch the documentary about truffle pigs, the truffle hunter.
Oh,
yeah.
No free sponsors.
I got recommended it.
Yeah.
And I really like the slice of life documentaries of like foreign countries and the countryside.
Is the story like rich?
It's rich.
Really?
It's stinky.
It's stinky.
It's
Like
fun with guys.
a truffle.
Yeah.
Oh. What?
Maybe he's
Wait,
watching.
what was this documentary about again? Oink, oink.
Oink, oink.
Well, looking back on it, I did write that like a complete jerk. I was rather excited in the moment about it. No, that's not an excuse. I acknowledge that. But how quickly this lawyer helped me just made me so happy. I'll make sure to not sound like such an idiot when speaking on her again. By the way, if you never want to look like an idiot, you can tap our profile every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, on Facebook, and join our lives. Could be live right now.
We probably are.
Probably are. But
Tap our profile.
ladies and gentlemen, we are almost at the end of part 1 of this saga. We have more
thick
episodes.
saga.
It is thick.
It is juicy.
Let's break down before we get into this final part here. One, has OP done everything right? Like, is there any big missteps?
I mean, besides calling his ex-wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, a dog.
Truly.
I think there have been some choice actions, like submitting the divorce papers at her work.
Yep.
That don't sit completely right with me.
Yes.
But overall, like, he tried to have the conversation. She was not down. He tried to put up boundaries. Mother-in-law did not respect it. I think he's like 90% doing the right thing.
Big picture, he needs to get out of a marriage where his wife, doesn't really care what happens to him and get as far away from the evil mother-in-law as possible. We also have part 2 and episode 2 coming up. Do you think we go hard on suing the mother-in-law or taking her to court? Because it said earlier we might be able to press felony charges. Do we lock her up and throw away the key like she did to OP?
If she could strike again, then yes. Again, it's all like, do you think she'll strike again? If so, lock her up.
Well, now that they can't use OP as a piggy bank anymore, is mother-in-law going to say, okay, now you didn't give me the money. Now you're making me do this to you. Uses the crowbar, breaks it, and takes everything.
Yeah. Potentially.
Because now she's like,
getting
hey,
desperate.
You should have just given me all the money I needed, but instead you decided to divorce and pull all your money aside.
Yeah.
How dare you?
And maybe mother-in-law trains her daughter in her crowbar techniques, and now they're, Bonnie
Accomplice.
and Clyding across town stealing everyone's skeleton keys.
Oh wow.
We
No
might have,
lock is safe.
we might have to throw them both in prison.
We might have to throw them both.
Is that
Yeah.
what we're saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe like the stocks. You know, like
Stocks.
I feel like you know, those medieval things where they're like in the thing and then everyone's throwing tomatoes at them and they're like, you know.
Oh
like,
yeah, the thing in your bedroom.
How do you know about that? How do you,
You
know
left it
about?
out
How do you know
one day.
about that?
I like how you just told on yourself.
How do you know about my stocks?
You left it out one day. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah. Well, I was
Makes
showing
sense.
Riley the other day about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we put him in. We put him in.
All right, but guys, we
Okay,
have some
yeah.
relevant comments
Oh,
to
what about the
close out
stocks?
this part.
Oh,
Huh?
I just like love the idea of throwing tomatoes at like the people that are wrongdoers. I feel like we should bring that back.
You like juicy things.
Like juicy things,
Really ripe
thrown at
things.
me, ripe little
Something you can
peaches
palm.
thrown in my face.
Yeah.
Riley's doxing Sam's bedroom stuff. To be clear, that
you
was
confirmed it.
that was a joke
yeah.
that John, I feel, believed.
That sounds like you're trying to get out of it, but you know what? To help you out here, here's some relevant comments
been
to
a
close
dry
out this
month.
episode. So, Isalugus says, one additional action you might want to take to freeze your credit with the credit reporting agencies. Don't leave an opportunity for your credit to be damaged by others' actions. No, you want to says, yes, do this. Before my ex-wife declared bankruptcy, she reopened a shared account that I had closed even before the divorce and charged $5,000 to it. Once she declared bankruptcy, that all fell on me.
Oh wow.
I got out from under it with a simple $350 lawyer visit, thanks partially to a clause in our specific divorce papers where it states that neither party can cause the other neither party can use the other for the purpose of obtaining credit or loans. But I found out about the $5,000 less than a month before I was taking the kids on a trip to Disney, our first vacation ever, which I was finally able to afford because I had paid off all of my debts. Her timing was impeccable. I'm still angry about it 15 years later, so lock down your credit. It is good advice.
Dang.
Update! Let me be clear on some details. I've been told many times that I'm condescending, twisting things, acting like a D-bag, etc. Well, apart from how hot-blooded I get from all of this, I'll tell you about the crap I've dealt with before coming to Reddit. My wife used to act very different around me the 3 years that we were together before that we got married. She was kind, regularly scolded her mother if she did anything bad, and didn't expect me to help her mother with anything either.
I just saw Stella's chat. Sam would get a fart candle to blame his farts on the candle.
I mean,
that's
that's not outside of the realm of,
what I'm known
what could
for.
happen, For a second, I'm not even going to lie, for a second I thought the comment was going to be like, where do I get Sam's
fart candle.
You just rip one? Sorry, I thought I heard something. Sorry. Too soon. I heard something like,
Oh my God.
Nice try, Riley, trying to cover up your own farts.
Nice try.
Nice
oh,
try.
come on.
But, and she didn't expect me to help her mother with anything either. She acted like she was perfing around me. Her mother was a lot kinder and more apologetic towards me before I married her daughter. She was, believe it or not, kind of a sweet lady. Apart from being a hoarder, I used to be very sympathetic towards her, and I hoped that she'd get better, but things only got worse after saying my vows. As soon as we were back from the honeymoon, my wife and mother-in-law were very different. Things became very their way or the highway, and I was treated like the bad guy by her and her mother for even having a different opinion on something. They regularly ganged up on me, when they wanted to make me wrong about things. Wifey became a total brat and was acting like a rebellious teenager at home. Our bedroom life became pretty much dead too. In part because I get migraines, but also because she was never in the mood. We hadn't been intimate in 4 months before I posted Am I the A-hole here? I have a bit of a low drive, so it didn't bother me too much, but she'd rarely initiated unless she had something to be happy about. Wifey remained her other self outside in front of people. She took off her mask at home once she had trapped me in our marriage. I've already explained the smug, bratty attitude that she had towards me when she used our shared bank account to pay her mother's bail and reimburse the pawn shop, and then acted like that money would be out of my half of the account. Or about her smug attitude when admitting that she was planning to have her mother come live with us without asking if I thought that was even okay. I can't take it anymore. She's made unilateral decisions on so much these past few years. Even giving mother-in-law a spare key was all her. And that's what got my collection stolen. And before mother-in-law stole my collection, I just shut up and took the abuse from both, like the good little boy they wanted me to be. The little man in my little Navy uniform, my little sailor's uniform, good little mommy wifey boy. No more! Putting my big boy pants on. Now, why? Why was I putting on my little sailor's outfit and going to Mommy and Me award shows? Because I thought I was in love.
Aw.
Like a freaking fool.
Oh, buddy.
I was in deep of a marriage fog. But then people here pulled me out like OP should have. It feels like I'm married to a spoiled teenager that wants me to talk to the hand even if I want to have a frank conversation about anything unless we're in public. I get that this behavior has been deeply ingrained into her by her mother, but she refused to get any sort of counseling. If she had agreed to the counseling and believed the counselor would have agreed with her, I'd know she'd need help. But the way that she acts tells me she knows exactly what she's doing and doesn't care. I didn't even want the house we're living in, but wifey made it her hill to die on. I wanted to save so we could actually buy a house in a few years instead, but she wanted to keep up with the Joneses, and distance from her mother wasn't a factor. Our old apartment was actually closer to mother-in-law. Wifey just really wanted the house and particularly said it was happening whether I liked it or not. Sure, the extra space was nice, but I had to buy most of the new furniture. I'm miserable here. That's why I got so hot freaking blooded. Blood boiling in these hot tubes of veins.
Of lumps.
Oh, my lumps were bumping. And many here think I'm going scorched earth, but I'm not. I could have actually done far worse. All I want is out of this house and out of this marriage, and I'm regretful that I had to have my wife served at at her job. That went too far. But that's one of the few things that I regret in the situation, and please don't blame that on my lawyer. That decision was all me. I wanted some payback, and I made a bad call, but I can't undo it now that it's already been done. Wifey is still giving me the silent treatment, and we've been acting completely indifferent towards each other. I'd be completely fine if it stays this way until I can move out. By the way, if you want it to stay this way forever and literally have nothing ever change, if you want to live like Peter Pan, tap our profile. Any weekday at 3 p.m. PST, and you will be able to join us live. Do it right now.
And you'll never get to go home.
You'll literally never get to go home. You'll get to be a young boy forever.
Stay young forever.
Ooh,
be with our lost boys.
But, Sam,
John,
do we think Opie's redeemed himself? He regrets serving her at the job. He said the way he talked about the lawyer being a woman was crazy, and he's not going to do that again. He pretty much seems to have addressed all of the grievances that we had with him.
is he just trying to get into our good graces?
Is he just trying to, if we take that 10 steps further, is he just trying to have a army of people agreeing with him and the greatest show on earth at that on his side?
I think he is trying to change. I do think he is trying to change. But I think it's just I don't know. I think I just have a little bit of suspicion.
Yeah, I think while he has addressed everything, I'm not 100% that he will be good for the future.
Yeah.
Still might be better.
But he's been good for now.
But we do have some other relevant comments. Proud Internet Troll says, OP, I've been following this from the first post, and I feel terrible for you. It sounds like your wife wanted to secure a wallet instead of a healthy marriage with you. People need to keep their parents out of their marriages. You will overcome this. You will be stronger as well. I had my ex-husband served at work. He kept dodging the process for 2 weeks, so I had no option.
Okay.
That's a different story. That's a different story.
story.
That was the first time he tried to serve her.
Yeah.
I also get migraines. Do you take anything for them? I have one today, so I understand all about them. OP says I have a regular mix of things that I take and prescribed and prescriptions for the migraines. Depends on how bad the migraine is. Low dose aspirin and caffeine can help a bit. But sometimes I get hit hard with the bad migraine out of nowhere, and my eyes also are sensitive to the light because of it. And I'm sensitive to the story ending because it is.
I'm gonna cry.
I'm devastated.
But John, don't be
What's that?
devastated too long because we got a part 2 coming up, served hot and fresh right to your ear holes.
That is right. The iceberg is not done, and it is explosive, like I said.
Yep.
So, if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow for part 2.
For part 2.